Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Can you see and
Nice
hear?
to see you, all of you.
Nice to see you. Happy retirement, Dave. Lucky bastard.
Retirement to you. You shouldn't. You must have been a good boy. This old bohemian is going to work till he drops.
Yeah, things happened the way they happened. There's definitely some. There's some sacrifices, definitely, but at least now.
So I haven't talked to you. I haven't talked to Dave in like 30 something years.
It is something.
And not even I remember talking to him that much back then.
No, I didn't.
I was saying I was a little shy back in those days
Me
and
too.
up my own butt and sort of invisible. Anyway, what was your experience with Jolly Ramey? If you have any noted stories.
Yeah, I look back on it very fondly. I remember going to see you guys at Nightingale's. I think it was the first time, and you didn't have a drummer at that point. And I was fancying myself a beginner on the drums, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to be the drummer for this band." And that was the start of it for me. And I remember the first gig that I played with you guys was CBGB's Gallery, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
Remember
Okay.
that?
Yeah.
I think
313.
Right.
Okay. I thought
And
it was Nightingale. I remember you were in the
I didn't
band.
play with you guys then. That was the first time I saw you.
Yeah,
And
that's
then did that little thing with the drum machine and the.
right. Right. Oh my gosh. Nightingales. I forgot about Nightingales.
I
The
didn't even
one
remember
gig
where
I
that
remember
was.
the most, though, that I'll never
Something like
forget.
Second Avenue and 12th.
In ABC No Rio. You were playing when that gig happened, right?
Yeah. So
Absolutely. He's in the video.
yeah.
Right. That's right.
Oh, that's right. I haven't seen that in a while. I'll have to check that out. But so the first gig at CB's Gallery, I remember all I had, I think, was like a floor tom and a snare, something like that.
Yep.
And it went. I thought it went really well. I really enjoyed it, and I think when I was really bad, I was kind of good, and then when I got slightly less bad, I was not quite as good. You know what I'm saying? I know, and I realize that now. I tend to, I'm not. I don't have like a ton of regrets. I mean, in a way, I regret everything, and in a way, I don't regret anything. But
Yeah. Right.
I remember like certain, like musical things. Like I was listening to when we did the CBGB's. Well, it was a benefit, right? And I remember my playing on Trouble. It was kind of like. It was like Maureen Tucker thinking she was playing in the Buzzcocks or something like that. It was just not, and I, the other day I just heard the original recording of Trouble, and I was like, yes, that's how it should have been. But I hadn't developed that level of skill yet. I lived in an apartment, and I didn't know from electronic drums. I didn't really get to practice on a full kit except when we were rehearsing. So, I would certainly have done things differently back then. I didn't, at the time, I didn't know any other drummers. And so there was all kinds of weird stuff. I remember one gig, it was in some auditorium, and I was playing, and my drums kept sliding forward every time I hit the kick drum. And it was like being in this kind of nightmare, That's what would happen to me in a nightmare. I would be playing drums and they'd be moving away from me. But finally,
I think that's the pull quote. How was being in Jolly Ramey? Well, it was a nightmare.
no. I loved being in Jolly Ramey. I was very self-critical.
I see.
So that is a lifetime thing.
I think I'm funny still.
Definitely.
I have emotional problems.
Hey.
I'm going to download and get Who Will Take Me Now, but by at CBGB's. I mean at ABC No Rio. Yeah, available if we want to play it in a bit.
Yes, I really, now that I got the sewing machine, I've started kind of trying to make clothes. The dress I'm wearing in this video, I made it, I designed it, and we look fine. So young, so fresh.
I had my Jolly Ramey t-shirt on, which I don't know what happened to. You must have like taken it back or something like that.
No.
Indian giver.
Someone stole it. Raisin Bran probably stole it.
Yeah, that's
We're going to have him on, by the way.
excellent.
Very controversial character.
Controversial.
Yeah, I want to see if I can get Jet Screamer too.
Oh, Jet's still around. Okay.
But they don't play together anymore.
Lives in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been Raisin Bran's been in Florida for some time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I here's Who Will Take Me Now.
We're gonna do
Oh, wait a
West
minute.
Side melody. West Side
Might as
Story
well watch
melody.
it, huh?
Maria, I had the key, but the door wouldn't open. All I had to be there, and I wouldn't be sad. Who will take me now? Now that I'm so crazy and so lonely and so cold. Who will take me now? Now that I'm so sad, I'm so old. I got a freaking head, but it's red in my head. And I can't call my mama, and I can't call my dad. Who will take me now? Now that I'm so crazy and so lonely and so cold. Who will take me now? Now that I'm so sad, I'm so old. Oh, what do? I can't keep complaining. 'Cause nobody will listen, and I'm tired of myself. Who will take me now? Now that I'm so crazy and so lonely and so cold. Who will take me now? Now that I'm so sad, I'm so old. I had the key, but the door wouldn't open. All my friends would be there, and I wouldn't be sad. Who will take me now? Now that I'm so crazy and so lonely and so cold. Who will take me now? Now that I'm so sad, I'm so old.
That's really great. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Good looking band.
I really enjoyed this.
That was great performance. Who shot that anyway?
That was Tom Becker and Young, Gifted, and Broke,
Ah, okay.
and who edited it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
One thing
they
I have
have
to say,
like 3 cameras.
Yeah. I always really like your lyrics, Maddie. They're
I
really
like
good.
that song. Thank you, Dave. I really like that song. It's sort of. It seems like I always feel that way, right?
We're going to get Molly Cyrus to cover it.
Good old
Molly?
Molly.
What is her name? Is that her name?
Of my favorite songs, there's so many that I like them for different reasons.
Hmm.
I like "Wonderful" a lot. I've always liked it. That's
Hmm.
one of my favorites.
I wrote it. I wrote it about this guy here.
Love
Yeah, that
Money
was about
Talks.
Steve. That's about Steve.
Hmm.
I love Money Talks.
Hmm.
And just the general weirdness of Santa Bunny. I just love it so.
Thank you. Thank you,
The
Larry.
words, the words looked good on, like, if you read them, and they also fit in the song, which is kind of an uncommon thing. So I always really admired that about the.
Yeah.
Remember the Penn Place pub shows?
Sure.
Those were pretty fun.
I
Hmm.
like
Played
it.
there
I like
several
it.
times.
Yeah, I remember John Schnall playing with us or opening for us at one time, and
That place
Uh,
on Spring Street, was it called See Here? What was that place?
The
uh, uh,
ear in.
McGovern's,
The
The ear
Ear Inn.
in.
the
The
ear in,
Ear
yeah.
Inn. Yeah, I like those gigs too because we were always some drama with the
We
gamma
played at
rays.
the ear in.
Yeah, that's where I hooked up with Finn Hunt from the Gas Hounds.
oh yeah, that's probably before my time then. Yeah,
Was it? I don't think so.
Yes. Yes, I
Oh,
think so.
I
wow.
think
I
it
thought
was been before I joined.
Couple months, 3-4 months, maybe.
A lot of these things I just don't remember at all.
it was
And
controversy over who wrote Eden. I
um,
remember it a little less friendly. It was kind of heated, but it was fun. It was all part of being in the scene and doing the shows, and it was all good. I don't
And
remember it as a
I
bad
think
thing.
creative people have a harder time sometimes collaborating or even socializing. And I think that Jolly Ramey for me was as much an artistic solution as a social solution. Who am I going to hang out with? What am I going to do with my time here? So I really loved it for
It's
that.
a social life, absolutely.
I'm going to step out for just a moment.
Okay. Now we can talk about Steve.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at my number one collaborator. Without Dave, the magic
Yeah, that.
experience never
Mhm.
could have happened, and we all worked together as a band. I mean, Shauna and Rich we were all collaborating all the time. I never felt it was like a solo thing at all. I really think the magic is in the collaboration. I thought you and Steve were collaborators for sure.
Well, there's certain songs that I would take his lyrics or vice versa. There's some songs he wrote that I've just we never there was so many songs that we learned, we played, but they never became part of the repertoire. And I would like to have a show just about Steve's songwriting because
Mhm.
and nobody's ever heard the song Marilyn Monroe's Husband.
Well,
Yeah, I mean it's a goodie.
so Steve, you wrote some of the lyrics to the Raimi material, or is
I
it?
wrote a couple of songs. Well, Fugitive was
Oh
Oh,
one.
yeah,
right. Yeah.
Fugitive. Yeah, yeah.
Fugitive. I wrote Fugitive after, and I was I was chasing some girl to from where I lived in upstate New York. I met her at the disco, and she was a University of Michigan student. I went out there, and I don't know where the story went from there. What was the question? Oh, yeah. They were showing. I saw for the first time. I was a fugitive from a chain gang, but with Paul Muni,
Hmm.
and I came back, and that's where Fugitive came from, which also has elements of Talking Heads in it somehow. And I
I
don't.
always felt it was, yeah, it had
Hmm.
it.
It has some kind of a Talking Head song thing too. I don't remember which one it was though.
Baseline, sort of.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So that one was mine, and Love Your City. I don't know if you guys ended up playing Love Your City.
But I remember him.
It's got
I can't.
trumpet on it. David Weiss trumpet.
Yeah, but I think that might have been a little bit of a collaboration. I think Maddie participated in the writing of that one. And then I wrote several with John Lennon until he got shot. And
I wrote.
Off royalties now. Yeah.
I was just before I forget. I was also another show. Was the gas station show that was pretty notorious, right?
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
Did anybody record the gas station show?
The guy from what was it? Cop Shoot Cop throwing a beer can at you, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't remember the beer can. I just remember the guy unplugging us and me like jumping off the stage.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somewhere there's footage of Steve reaching, and then
Fortunately, we don't have the tape of me strangling the guy. So you
Well,
guys went on together. Did you play with Leila in the further bands, Dave?
Yeah. When we did this next band, Wisteria, after Jolly Ramey.
Now,
Yeah, we did that together.
I discovered that David was a phenomenal guitarist. I had no idea. I had no idea he played the guitar, and then it was like, oh my God, he's one of those lefty musicians. You know, lefties can freaking play anything. It kills me. I'm so jealous.
I'm not usually a lefty, but I'll take the compliment.
I think I saw Wisteria one time at least at the Sidewalk.
Oh, the Sidewalk. I remember the Sidewalk shows.
Yeah.
Sidewalk really helped launch us. It did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sidewalk was great for my solo stuff too. Sidewalk was. I don't think Jolly Ramey. I think we predated Sidewalk or something. I don't think we ever played Sidewalk.
yeah, we did.
Did we?
Did?
Yeah,
Oh.
we played like 3-4 open mics. We were invited by John Paul Goodman to play there.
Ah,
Yeah. We
Paul
were.
Scott Goodman.
Oh yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, Paul.
Mhm.
He'd be a fun guest.
I'm Facebook friends with him, so
Yeah, he'd be a real fun guest. You know.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, some of the most vibrant people I met during that time of my life in that scene. So
Now, when we're talking about money talks on the Foaming Edison thing, that was Penny for the Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Edison and Penny for the Guy were two separate. Foaming Edison was Bill Berger. Penny for the Guy
No.
was Frank
it was-
Powers.
Okay, so then that record, the album that we're on with Money Talks is Foaming Edison tapes, correct? And that is not actually a Penny for the Guy product.
Oh, I thought it was
Oh, that's right. The Christmas one was, I think, Penny for the Guy.
Santa Bunny is on Penny for the Guy.
Santa Bunny. Yeah,
Yeah,
with,
Santa Bunny's on Penny for the Guy.
I wasn't on that.
Went on Santa Bunny. Wait,
That makes
the
sense.
video.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And you know, my favorite one, Box of Love,
Oh,
Right.
God.
Apartment.
you know, in Happiest Guy video, there is a very small clip of like the first weekend I ever met Steve.
Oh,
We were taking our mutual friend to the airport. He had been drafted into the Egyptian army. And there's shots of me with quarters doing this in the airport with like a buzz cut haircut. Yeah, that's the very first time I ever met Steve.
Okay,
Wow.
I knew Tark from going out to the disco up, and there was a disco called just across. I lived in Hoosick Falls, New York, up there, and that was just across the border from North Bennington, and so it was New York State. So it was later drinking, so on and so forth, and there was this big
cool.
disco there called the
Carousel?
Carousel, and I used to go there a lot, And that's where I met Tarek. We used to dance together at the. We were big dancers at the. It was late 70s, early 80s, and all that great music. And
But
so
you
we
could
just.
still dance to music, yeah, before the
Yeah. So
whole
we were dancing, and then I moved down
the whole
here,
movement back to the
and he
city.
came to visit me. He's still around somewhere, I guess. I don't know where. I haven't talked to him in many, many years. So.
Just, yeah,
So you
like those were the days where there was a DJ at the rock clubs between shows, and you were expected to dance to rock music. It wasn't like this whole back to the audience wall to sound bullshit. It was about enjoying a night out, and it just got so closed down.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite concert memories was seeing the Ramones at University of Albany with Tark, and we were both like tripping like crazy, and there was all this space, and we could dance all night, and we were tripping. And when you go see I don't know if you guys ever saw the Ramones, but the Ramones did not stop. They would start and go bam, 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 and then all through the whole fucking night.
Yeah.
They play one song and then 1, 2, 3. It was awesome, great. So, but yeah, Tarek was the one that brought.
What were some of your favorite bands that were playing around the time we were playing? The bands we would do gigs with. What were some of the names you remember that you enjoyed watching too? I remember Van Gelder for some reason the most.
Yeah, I was a member of that for a minute.
Oh yeah, I loved Van Gelder.
Yeah,
I loved the Gas
yeah,
Sound.
it was a lot of fun playing with Terry. Yeah, Gas Sounds and Fly Ashtray were awesome, and they're still going. I think actually James
They're
is
still going very strong. Excellent.
yeah.
band.
Yep, my wife actually, Jerry works with James. They work together at Visiting Nurse Service of New York, which is like kind of wild. But
Oh, James is the greatest.
James
Yeah.
was a nurse, or he was an administrator of some
he's
sort.
an administrator, I think. Yep. So they do
Excellent.
even
Oh, and Smack Dab.
small
I
world
love
thing.
Linda Haygood's band. I love Smack Dab.
I tried to sing with Linda, but like she was just so adorably off key. I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't sing off key with her. I just so the neighborhoods we habituated was like mostly East Village, some Jersey, but like the West Side clubs always seemed like kind of strange to me. I mean, Ear In, Penn Place Pub, the West Side was like
Hey, do you see that?
inconvenient.
Never mind. I just got a text on my phone, and I hope it didn't like show on the screen there.
It
Did not.
It did not. Okay, I'm good. Go on. I'm sorry. Penn Place Pub.
Yeah,
That was it wasn't like typical of places of like East Village.
We were
places.
playing at Penn Place Pub, and this is another Tarek connection because he knew these people who lived across the street from the Penn Place Pub. What was that guy's name, Maddie? You remember?
Emmett.
Emmett was friends with these people, but there was another guy who lived right across the street with his wife, who was and I don't remember his name, but he was the one who got us into Penn Place Pub. That guy, yeah, through Tarek, because he lived right across the street.
I think that
Place Buzz is more like the cabaret singer jazz.
Yeah. I don't know if they had an entertainment normally.
Yeah, that's
because we were like right on the floor. We were right. There wasn't a stage or anything there. I don't think we were right on the floor. Just moved the tables out of the way.
There's a lot of places where there wasn't a stage.
Yeah. Did we play the Pyramid ever?
I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I don't think we.
There was a little place along there that we
the
played.
Lismar Lounge.
Yeah, the Lismar Lounge.
Yeah.
That's
The
on
Lismar
Second
Lounge.
Avenue. Hmm.
And we had one gig. You guys weren't, but Steve, we went downstairs on Avenue A.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Called
Yeah,
like the
that's.
Wolf Pack or
I
something.
don't know what that was called. That
Anyway.
place didn't last very long.
Heck,
But
you
yeah,
were a part
the
of it.
Lismar Lounge. There was a big there was a lo-fi night there. I think a Bill Burger lo-fi night there that we played at.
Yes, and with a very famous poster. Um, it's just terrible, terrible artwork. Um, I think a lot of the show is going to be like, I don't quite remember. Was it? Was it? That's just going to be like us trying to remember shit that's like 40 years ago now, right?
Let's just make
Nah,
stuff
not
up.
quite 40.
Let's make stuff up. Remember when we played the Felt Forum at Madison Square Garden?
I was too wasted to remember.
Yeah, right.
Whose show we
Bob.
were on in WFMU? Do you remember whose show we were on? I thought it was The Immigrant. I thought it was Dave.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we were we were on a couple.
I'm sorry,
We-
Dan Berman, The Immigrant.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so we were on The Immigrant, I think first, and then we were on Bill Burger's show because there's a clip of
Yeah.
Bill Burger that
Yeah.
I still have from that night. It's on our page here.
And so Steve thinks that all immigrants are communists, and he's
Yeah.
really he
That's
likes
why I
I
call
call him
it the
as the communist. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah.
you know
But
usually
I didn't
Oh,
remember The Immigrant at the time. What?
I thought it was either when I heard when I was trying to remember it, so it was either communist or maybe the terrorist. Then it turned out to be The Immigrant. So, I'm in my 70s, Dave. I'm 73 years old.
Wow, you're not looking.
Thank you. I keep myself going somehow.
I'm 62.
Yeah, you guys are just young. You know what it's like.
62? I didn't know you were 4 years older than me, Dave. I always thought you were 2 years older than me. Wow, okay. So it makes sense that you've retired.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm never going to retire. Can't retire.
you
But
know
it's like,
really fucking sucks.
it seems
Well-
like it makes less and less difference how old everybody is. Like when you're 20 and someone's 30, it's a big deal. But when you're 50 and someone's 60, it's like
yeah.
because
Yeah, I thought that, and then it
the
turns out
proportion.
it goes. They converge for some years, and then at the ends, then things get scarier.
Right, and then it's
Yeah.
like
So when you're like so I'm whatever your guy's age now, and I'm 73. So in another 5-10 years, I'll be like 83, and then you guys will only be 70, and I'll be like, oh,
So like I'm kind of at this age where the people I work with are either they're like 6 or 7 years older than me, but they treat me like I'm young, like I'm super young. And then I have kids that are like just graduating high school, and they to them I'm like, oh my god, like what the hell are you, a dinosaur? It's so weird. It's so weird.
isn't that seems like natural for retail.
Oh,
People just starting out for something, and people who are been through something and still have to work.
yeah, but what gets me is the people that aren't that much older than me act like they're so much older than me, and they constantly make references to things and being like, "Oh, you wouldn't know," and I'm like, "Yeah, your freaking generation." It's just funny. There's a general lack of respect for age, though. That I can tell you. What the hell?
I think people have all kind of tactics to sort of subtly neg you and kind of put you down for what they're,
Whatever
And
reason.
if someone's
I don't agree. I believe that this is something that's endemic to the time we're living in now, is the age gap of because the generation that we were at our age is so much different than the generation that, like, at that same age. They're so disconnected from what we ever were. They're so disconnected from the generations around them. Like, we we had our peers that were older than us and that we looked up to, but they don't really have it. They don't see, like, oh wow, you played in that band. There's none of that. It's all like, if you're not in my TikTok group or you're not in, you don't exist. You just physically don't exist.
Yeah,
If you're
well,
not
I
in my
think it's a
general,
feature of internet culture, maybe, huh? That's
oh, for sure.
permeated after
Mhm.
they
Internet has
they
a huge, and the use of computers and smartphones. They've done analysis on what it's done to people's brains, that they have no, like, their empathetic response. It's definitely, when it comes to like reading and digesting information, it's different. The brains are wired differently now. It's
well,
Wow.
if you're 25 years old, all through your life you've had the internet.
Yeah.
I didn't. The internet didn't happen until I was whatever. I don't know, 50 something, 60, 50 something. Yeah, 50 something.
Wow.
I mean, but look at the great things we can do with it now. I'm not trying to be
Oh, I
anti
love it. Yeah,
Like this
that.
masterpiece of a show.
yeah.
I have a cool story. I'll try to make it short, but I'm in the grocery store and this dude, he's all tatted up, and we start chatting. He's giving me all these movie recommendations, and I'm looking at him, and at the end, I'm like, "Thanks so much. I'm so glad I ran into you." And I said, "By the way, are you Mr. Manitoba?" And he just lit up.
Oh
We had
wow.
a really nice handshake. It's just like, I said, "I'm a fan." So I think I made his day. But then he was chatting with someone else in the other aisle as I left. So he's just a friendly kind of guy.
Wow.
Wasn't that
Mhm.
cool though? That I could be like,
Definitely.
hey, you're famous to me, you know.
I met a famous guy on 14th Street in your neighborhood,
Yeah.
Anthony Weiner.
I asked him for a doggy bag the other day. He said,
Anthony Weiner.
yeah. He said, I just used my last one. I'm sorry. And then he goes, but at least you're conscientious. And then I said, by the way, I'm a fan. And he goes, that's very nice of you to say. So that's my Anthony Weiner story. Yeah. I mean, like, what does all the old school, all the stuff we've been through musically, what does it mean to us today? You know, for me, when we were doing it, it was a social thing. It was an artistic thing, and it was a collaborative thing. So now when I look back at it, I was like, oh, that's when I used to do that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
this is sort of a
Yeah.
version of the same impulse.
Hmm.
I find that being what we were doing was political, to tell you the truth. We were on a wave of do it yourself record labels, independent, like any
Absolutely.
place could be a club, we were just do it yourselfers, and we were making a scene. And I think that was very political in its way, because we didn't want to be bought up by a big label. We would have been nice to make a living, but we weren't really fooling ourselves, We tried.
Yeah, because we already knew how the big record companies spend your money and then expect to be paid back.
Right. And
And
then it just, it churned on, and we thought that it was going to get more equitable as all the little labels, but it just turned out to be exactly opposite, that the big labels just got bigger by buying up all the indies. So it kind of went exactly opposite of what we were striving for. Like, there
and
was no like middle class success. There was for a short time, and then Matador started to rise by scooping up everything, and then Matador gets bought, and then it's over.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
When
the
we were
same with
playing those,
everything in corporate culture.
yeah, we were at the tail end of that period where you had where you could like dream of making an okay living from being in a band. I think that kind of that dream kind of fizzled out like right around the time that we were playing. When the labels were consolidating, and you could play on an indie label, but it's not likely that you're there were a lot fewer bands that were able to have moderate success. You had to be either huge or you were nothing.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with the price of real estate. It just became the cost of living became so much higher. You couldn't live in a shit apartment and have a band and or be a cartoonist or be you had a rent you could live, but then the rents went up with the gentrification, and I think that's the number one reason the whole indie scene kind of fell apart as far as that was concerned.
Right, and that's every urban center. That's.
Mhm.
I mean, I see it. I think there's as many open mics right now in the city as there was back in our day.
Really? Okay.
Um, but it's just different because, like, when so the floor fell out of the recorded music because of streaming services and stuff, and all the artists getting ripped off because people are just stealing. Um, so even now there was a resurgence where established musicians, can't make a living unless they're on the road, getting the asses in the seats, selling tickets, and that's just so
Todd
exhausting.
Rundgren is like just turned 77. He's on the road all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of guys.
Just doing this thing, doing that thing, all the time.
Yeah.
Even if you're like a famous singer-songwriter, you can sit at home, put out a record, make some money. Your band is starving. They have to pay their mortgages. You care about these people. So you go back on the road,
Mm-hmm.
We'd all been living in California, we wouldn't have been working at all. But gee, Frank, if we'd been living in California, I'm quoting the mother's invention. Were you in any other bands, Dave, other than Wisteria and Jolly Ramey?
Yeah, like I when I was like in my late teens, I was in a band that we made a record, the sort of new wavy suburban new wave thing, and I played in some. I mean, I played with Terry for a little bit, and I was in other bands here and there. I had this guy, Leila Kevin. I played around with him a little bit, and yeah. So, but not in a while,
Do you have any of the stuff you did with Terry Folger?
Yeah, I do actually. I have a tape of when we played on WFMU, and he called it Every 5 Minutes, and I can't remember why he called it that. But do you remember that, Larry? Yeah, so I have that. That was sort of like semi-successful only. And I do have like a tape of some of his stuff with Van Gelder. Um, and yeah, I remember going in the studio with him and Mike Anzalone at one point and recording some stuff, just kind of futzing around. So yeah, there's some stuff.
Anzalone wrote my favorite Fly Ashtray song, Ostrich Atmosphere. I love that song.
Great song.
But I think it would also be neat to do a Folger-centric show because he rewrote the lyrics of Hold Me Back. And
Yeah, I remember.
love that. And it's just so much better than the original, So
Wow.
that would be pretty cool.
I wasn't in any other bands. Nobody wanted me.
I was in the Pleasures and I was in the Poor Bastards, which was Fran's band. And then the guitarist from Fran's band, God, what's his name? I loved him so much. He's Brian. He brought me into the Pleasures with this crazy, crazy guy. And that was just crazy time. But and then I did a bunch of recording with Fran, with Penny for the Guy and what he was doing. I miss him so much. I love Fran and Madonna's birthday. It was the day before yesterday. They both passed on, tragically. But he was one of our biggest fans.
Well, I'm glad we are able to, in our small way, pay tribute to a guy who was very important and very loved. You know, he was in our last episode. We mentioned him, and Steve put up a picture and stuff. Um, so yeah, it's kind of cool to be making sort of attempting to to reconnect it for whatever reason or just for fun, you know, because COVID happened and I've been here the whole time.
COVID was a lot different down here.
I thought I'd
Yeah,
be fine.
yeah.
I was kind of lucky to be here when it hit. I feel really bad for the people that were in New York and New Jersey and in the urban and where you're just all on top of each other. That was just, yeah, it was very.
It was amazing in Manhattan. Because I would go out and walk around. I was like, what? You can't go out and walk around? What do you mean? It's like it's not in the air. It's not a radioactivity, and there would be no one around, and I would just walk around all over the place. It was excellent. Also, I got to keep working because I was this art model, and eventually they started doing Zoom classes. So I was modeling on Zoom, which was at home, so that was easy too. So it was it wasn't that horrible for me. So.
The only horrible thing about it is my whole business plan for moving to Texas fell apart because I couldn't do a bed and breakfast. I was doing Airbnb out of my house. I couldn't. Nobody could come. You know what I mean? And then I was gonna do another food truck like I had, and that just didn't. It all COVID just wiped that out.
There's
But
so many moving parts to both of those enterprises. You know, there's the vehicle, there's the food, there's the parking, there's blah, 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 blah. There's the people, there's a room, there's cleaning up, getting a deposit, blah, 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 rescheduling, and blah, blah, blah.
I
So
had
much
to go
work.
back to work in retail, though. That was a real bummer to have to go back to a job where you have to punch a time clock. There's really nothing more demeaning than a job where you have to punch a time clock. It really is demeaning. It is.
I have an app.
They had gotten this last job I had, or one of the last ones. They had this app that would check all your keystrokes and see how fast you were, and they could tell every single thing you had done on the computer. And they kept trying to get me to turn this fucking program on. I was just not having it.
Well, you
That
were working for
happens when you
Scientologists.
work from home. Yeah, that's your computer's got a timer on it and it's
Yeah.
watching you.
That was an amazing part of it for me. Once it started, we were working remotely initially, and I realized within a few days, I physically cannot go back and work in an office again, like ever. Like if they forced me to do it, I would have to quit. So
Yeah.
it was,
I think you're not alone in that. They have
yeah,
trouble getting people back.
yeah, I was definitely one of those people. No, I'm not going to.
You
Real
cannot
estate for
physically cannot.
offices in New
Yeah.
York are is bottomed out.
The reason they put the big push on it because all that commercial real estate was losing money. They didn't know what to do with it. What are you going to do with all these empty office buildings? That's why they push for employers to say, oh, there's no productivity if they're working at home. They have to work in an office. At least that's the way it was in San Francisco and LA. Because what do you do with all these vacant buildings? It's great for the environment. Oh my God. I can't go much longer. I'm losing my battery.
All righty.
I think we did fantastic today,
Yeah.
people. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you all
Yeah,
for showing
it
up.
was great.
It was great. See you
Okay,
later.
now,
Okay. Leaving
Okay.
the studio.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye
bye
bye.
everyone. Bye, Dave.
Thank you.
Bye, Leila.